Yes. So while you said it's leaders who win elections, a large part of the credit for the 2014 elections was for the win of Narendra Modi was given to you and the digital campaign that you and your team ran. However, since then, the digital space has sort of got saturated. You have all leaders, everyone's on Facebook and everyone's on Twitter, there are fights on Twitter. What role, as an election strategist, what role do you think the digital space will play in 2019 at a time when the have-nots that you mentioned, if they don't have food and education, but everyone has a cell phone and they are on WhatsApp, they are on Facebook, what role do you think, and well, the novelty has sort of gone for now, but what role do you think the digital space will play in 2019?
See, whether it's a Facebook or Twitter or any, for that matter, any social media or a digital platform, it's just the means to communicate. Earlier you used to write letters, now you are sending the message through Twitter. I do not see much difference in that. As far as how much importance or the role it will play in this election, see, novelty might have gone in terms of platform, but the scale has become much bigger. Just to give you numbers, in 2014, the smartphone numbers in India were, or people with internet connection, were around 4 to 5 crores. Right now that number is 35 to 40 crores. So while the have-nots, there is a 50% electorate who are not on any kind of this connected world. 50% people are on this part of this ecosystem which is connected. So to my mind, but more important than this is the data prices going down. People do not pay attention to that part. In 2014, even those 5 crore people, if I were to send a video, even low middle class people will not download it, because you had a package for which you have paid a price and you want to only selectively download a video or any audio video material you want to consume. With the crash in data prices, now people are consuming data like anything. So anyone who has ability to communicate and connect through handheld devices will have an advantage. So that way it is very, very important. If I am able to make short videos, I will be able to connect better than someone who is trying to address a big rally, because a short video pushed through the network will reach to nooks and corners of India very quickly. So, but if you look at the BJP or Congress or traditional parties, how many of them have capacity to produce short videos? So if I am advising them, I will tell them to create a video unit. Even some of traditional media channels, they are, creating short videos is a very big challenge, quality videos. But if you are able to do that, then your connect and your ability to influence public opinion would be that much bigger. Not only because internet has gone there or smartphone is there, it's because data is cheap. Everyone in Hindi heartland, in the poorer states, if you look at the data consumption pattern in India, poorer section is consuming more data than those who are well off, because you and I, probably we have access to various means. We are also watching television, we are doing something else. At home you also have other social engagement. Those who belong to have-nots all of a sudden has found this cheap smartphone combined with almost free data. They go home, they consume this. They watch movie, they watch other kind of material which might not be politically relevant. But if I am a smart campaigner and I start pushing something that interests them, my opponent should be worried.
As an alliance partner, you need not agree with everything that the BJP does. But over the past 4 years since Mr. Narendra Modi became the Prime Minister, there has been enormous confusion over what exactly does JDU agree with the BJP. There has been, in 2015 you went against the BJP, and then it seems that other than being anti-Lalu Prasad, there is nothing binding the BJP and the JDU. So what exactly is the alliance all about?
It's a valid question. In fact, you have been graceful to us by saying that anti-Lalu, because JDU was not even anti-Lalu, we joined hands with Lalu. See, they have been on this question of him changing sides. We like it or not, this is the reality of Indian politics. Is he better or worse than anybody else? To my mind, not. Just start from, you are all senior journalists, you follow politics. Just start from Kerala, go up to Kashmir. Take any party, DMK, TDP, Pawar Saab, Naidu, Mr. Patnaik, Mamta Di, Mayawati ji, anyone who has in last 15 years who has not turned sides at least twice, thrice, 4 times. But that does not mean that what Nitish Kumar does or have done is right or wrong. I am just giving you the context which you understand. Mr. Naidu, who was at the National Front, then moved to United Front, then moved to Bajpayee's government, then he went out of Bajpayee government, then he came into Modi's government, then he goes out of Modi government, then now he is championing the cause of those who will defeat Modi. My point, limited point is that if you are willing to trust him, then what is the logic or the reason you have to say that you cannot trust Nitish Kumar? In 15 years, he has been with BJP, he got wiped off when he went out of that alliance, and then he formed, for his political survival maybe, he formed an alliance with Laluji and he won and he left that. So he has an explaining to do, and I tell you why the reason, why he has to do much more explaining is because a lot of people in India started building that hope that he is the guy who will take on Modi. So when he turned from that position, you felt betrayed. You meaning not you as a person, that vast majority of people outside Bihar who saw in Nitish a possibility or a leader who can take on Modi, they felt betrayed. But in people in Bihar have liked it. All surveys, all ratings, all feedback on the ground is telling that people, him returning to BJP fold is not as disliked in Bihar as it is disliked outside Bihar.
You said Lalu is a phenomenon more than just a leader.
In many ways, in many ways.
The features of this phenomenon, what do you think is a phenomenon?
Because see what he brings, what he has, what he represents in, at least in Bihar, is a section of society over a period of 10-15 years since his arrival on the political scene in a big way in 1989-90s onwards. They feel empowered, emboldened, but it has, the problem with that phenomena is it was all not positive, because lot of other sections also got disfranchised, they got fearful, they had to leave state, they have to suffer. So that's why he's a phenomena, because those are those who got affected, generations of them, at least 2 generations got affected. Whether you got emboldened, empowered, got the more of the in the resource pool that was available, or you felt disfranchised, disempowered, had to leave state, and that's why he's a political phenomena, and that's why he's a big political phenomena. I have no doubt about it. Even with the rise of BJP, Mr. Modi, 15 years of Nitish as the chief minister, when people go to vote in Bihar, Lalu ji's, whether he coming or what their vote would do to the position of Lalu ji, is one of the most important factor to my mind, at least to 60-70% of people who go to vote.
So why did you walk away from Lalu?
That Mr. Nitish Kumar should explain. His stated position is ideally, if I were to advise him at that point of time, I would have done the same thing, but for one change. After forming the government, I would have gone for the election. With BJP, I would have gone for the election. There is no.
So you feel it is unethical for him to continue after breaking with Lalu?
No, it's not a question of unethical. I am saying politically, he would have been far more powerful if he would have taken this decision and gone for seeking one more mandate from people of Bihar, because anyway he would have won. That's my assessment. I could be wrong.
Prashant, around the same time, 5 years ago, 2013-14, you were actively, run up to the Lok Sabha, you were actively working, you saw the Indian politics and India up close. Tell me 2 things, or 3 things, which are different in 2018-19 from the India of 2013-14, politics, society? Has anything changed at all?
First is this digitization is a major thing, transformational thing. So what Geo has done to your lifestyle, it's like cable entering your house and completely changing the.
That's a private enterprise.
Sorry?
That's a private
No, who does it's unimportant. What I'm saying is, look what cable and satellite has done to societies, the way we spend our evening in our house. Look at what mobile has done to our lifestyle. Look at such things that has changed the way we used to live, assess, respond to things. I think what data prices going down and availability of internet is doing is phenomenal. It's going to be having significant impact in this election and beyond. The second thing is, I hope that there are more people who want to see realistic projection and promises than lofty dream selling. So that's another change I see should be there, and you will see on the ground. You must be feeling, because it happens when someone evolves on the scene and you see him as a transformational person. You build high expectation, lot of hoopla. Then you say everything is going to change in 4 years, so people's expectation going down. I see this election is what you call not a wave election. It's because that expectation has become a little bit more on the realistic side than more on the imaginative, romanticized idea of change. कि 5 साल में सब बदल जाएगा. That has changed. So this people handheld devices coupled with the lowering of the prices, lowered prices of data, that allows people to consume information more freely. And second, because what has happened in 4 years, for good or bad, people being more realist, hence the micro issues again coming back should be much more important than what it was in 2014.
That has not come.
I'm not, I see that is for the people to judge. No single individual can say whether Achhe Din has come or not, because what is Achhe Din for you might not be Achhe Din for me. What is Achhe Din for me might not be Achhe Din for somebody else. What I'm saying is, as a country, overall I do not see, you said what is the difference in electoral sense, there will be less, it's very difficult to generate that kind of hype again, where everything else became subservient to the fact that I want X leader as a prime minister. That is, I do not see that happening in 2019. And I see this data thing, as I keep repeating, the two substantial thing. Third, candidates probably, just because in absence of hype, candidates becomes much more important. So those there will be many more elections within the elections. In 2014 you had one election. Maybe Bihar will vote differently than UP this time. It will not become very micro as it was, we have seen before 2014, but it will be like in between, because Mr. Modi is still a big phenomena, very popular, BJP machinery is very formidable. So it would not become micro, but I would not be surprised if Bihar votes differently than Rajasthan, or Rajasthan votes differently than Gujarat. So you would see the state level variations much more pronounced than what we saw in 2014.
How do you see, I mean, what difference that you perceive over Punjab, UP, Bihar, Andhra? What difference do you see the new leaders, what they lack or what they are different from the organic leaders? Like Amarinder Singh versus Rahul, or Mulayam Singh versus Akhilesh, Tejasvi versus Lalu. So in a pattern wise, do you see a pattern?
If you ask me, personally, I would take the older lot much more seriously. Because this newer lot, most of them, they are neither rooted in grassroots, nor have necessarily intellectual rooting as it is required. So you are son of a chief minister, you did not go to the best of schools, you have not had the best of world exposure, so you are lacking on that front, but you have also lacking because your father actually came bottom up, so you are neither here nor there. So if you ask me, any day Laluji is a much bigger formidable opponent or an ally than Tejasvi ji. It's not a commentary on, because I have not worked with Tejasvi, so I don't know, he might be better, but this is, I'm talking in general. But the basis of that is that you need one of it. If two is there, you are invincible. But if you have you neither have grassroots rooting nor the intellectual rooting, then where do you stand? All you are standing is what your father has given it to you. And that's why some of them would find it going tough. Whenever they will be challenged by someone who has come on his own, they'll find it difficult. And that's why you see when someone like Mr. Modi comes, a lot of people do not realize what makes Modi as a person, as a leader, so formidable. Just spend 2 minutes looking at his experience. It's unique in India as we stand today. 15 years as Sangh Pracharak, that gives him a first-hand experience of grassroots social fabric of this country. Then 15 years as an organizer, that gives him understanding of how a political system operates in India. Then 15 years as an administrator. Put this 45-year experience at one side and tell me which other leader has this. Imagine when the man is fighting with you, he brings the knowledge, wisdom, understanding coming from this 45 years of experience. It's unique. So if you want to defeat, you need that. You need that grassroots understanding. You need the exposure. You need that administrative skill. You need that social understanding. That is why he is so formidable as a challenger or as an opponent. Because if you want to judge a political spread of the might of the party, to my mind, the best indicator is how many MLAs you have. Just go back and see what is the number of BJP today. It's around 1500. Congress in its heydays used to have 2200, 2300. जो एक क्लीसेड है कि हर गांव में कांग्रेसी मिलता है, वो अभी भी बीजेपी के लिए नहीं है. Because you can win Lok Sabha election, you can win states, but to have that kind of a spread out of 4,000 plus assembly constituencies, how many you are winning or how many you are number two is what actually gives real sense of what is your spread and what is your might on the ground. And just the last point on this, and that's why I say Congress is in secular decline since 1989. Despite being in power for 15 years, why the challenge for Rahul is that much bigger? Because Congress decline did not happen in 2014 or 2012. You plot a graph, you go back, plot a graph on number of assemblies Congress has been number one and number two, it's just one-way traffic. Since 1989, Congress is losing number of MLAs from 2200, now they are down to 700. In between you formed government because you made alliances. That does not mean that Congress became, as a party, became big or strong. That is what you, now the BJP is moving from 600 to now they have gone to 1500. For another 20 years, whether Modi is there, Mr. Shah is there, this dispensation is there or somebody else is there, once you cross 1500, the party is going to be one of the central political force for times to come. And I foresee another 20 years, BJP will be one of the central force and someone will come as a challenger, it could be Congress, somebody else. But you need to pay attention to those granular data rather than just looking at kisne jeet liya, kaun state jeet liya, kaun state har gaya. Those things are important. But if you really want to study the rise or fall, then you have to look at a little bit more nuanced information.
So, should we see Prashant Kishor strategizing for Lalu and Rahul Gandhi in 2019?
I will not strategize for anyone. I have said this to the Prime Minister also, who has been in talks for last 1 year, and a lot of people have reported, speculated, कि जब मुझे करना ही नहीं है, सर मुझे करना ही नहीं है अब, I am done with it. क्यों नहीं करिएगा 19 के बाद कीजिए मैं सर हमें नहीं करना है I am done and dusted with being this freelance in your words ideology agnostic guy who takes crores of rupees which has never come to me except for the papers. I've told him that sir मेरे बस का नहीं है मैं नहीं करना चाहता हूँ and next 2 years this is what I want to do. See, but I also realized that when you do this, you have no control. Like voter, you do not have any control post a person's victory. And it is not about whether that person rewards me a post or he doesn't rewards with me a post. So I realized that bhai, it's a thankless job. मुझे अब नहीं करना है, with all the satisfaction which I draw from what I was doing, and the power and the might that you are working with, you know, as Shankarsan said, big daddies of who is who. So it's enough is enough. I want to really spend next 2-3 years advising people who want to come to the politics. If I can advise Modi ji and Nitish Kumar, I can also advise those who want to become Mukhia. And if I am able to do this to 10,000 people in Bihar, and I think it will open up a new domain.